Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys for Stocks. I'm Dylan.
And I'm getting holy crap for us Alibaba shareholders. It's been a freaking wild week, and we're in for the middle of a really wild ride overall. Michael Burry, my man, we're going to take a look at his recent holdings and kind of talk about the story here a little bit and what's been moving it all of a sudden.
And just to be clear, because I feel like people are going to ask, did you sell covered calls?
No,
Thank
no,
God.
no. I
You
I
finally
have
got off
been
that
off
train.
the covered call train for a few months now. Very fortunately, kind of learned my
Lucky
lesson here a
dude.
little bit. Now, up 20% in 5 days.
hmm
Bananas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the news, which you're going to talk about, it's
Uh,
good. I don't know if it's 20% good, but it's
yeah.
good.
I have an analogy for why I think that happened, but 35% in the last month, another banana number, and finally 44% year to date. It's getting a little spiky here. It's a little spiky. I don't know. That doesn't look very comfortable place to have a seat, but some people might
Uh,
enjoy it.
it isn't and isn't. That depends on your time frame. Go to
Yeah,
2 years. You could barely see the gain.
probably true.
That's true.
um,
I added at the end.
Did you? I love it. So this is my analogy for what's going on with Alibaba stock, and that's something I've talked about before. When you have a company that gets to such a depressed valuation relative to what the fair market valuation would be, you have this pent up energy behind it where it really wants to like rip and shoot up to the surface level and find that equilibrium. That's what you're seeing happen is that balloon that is the Alibaba valuation has been held underwater for so long by the CCP is finally slipping out of their fingers and rocketing up towards the surface of the water. All right.
Yeah, I'm sure. On top of that, I'll look up the short interest right now. But for people that were shorting, they also cover, which then makes them buy the stock back and also shoots up higher.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this is being motivated by a short squeeze. I know the
No,
short
I
China
don't think
trade
it's
was like, what's that?
I don't think it's motivated by a short squeeze. It just adds it to it
Yeah,
because it was positive news.
at one point in time, the short China trade was they were saying was one of the second most crowded trade in like amongst hedge fund investors. So yeah, I mean there was definitely a anti-China bias that was playing out over the last couple of years, and sure maybe to a degree that's motivated behind it. So it's funny. I actually Googled this, and Google wrote this little AI blurb here about Michael Burry and Alibaba stock, which is actually pretty nice. It's one of my first times using it. But his firm, increased its stake from Alibaba from 75,000 shares to 125,000 shares the first quarter of this year. And then he bought another 30,000 shares in the most recent quarter of June. That's the last time we had a 13F filing. And it talks here about how overall he's been increasing his exposure to Chinese internet stocks, including Baidu, and I believe he held JD as of
JD.
the most recent filing as well. But he's traded in and out of them in the past. So, whether or not he's still holding them, hard to know. We'll find out in the next 13F filing.
I'm going to say yes because his whole thesis was they're greatly undervalued, and he added to it twice. So I'm going to
Yes.
say now. Granted, he does not hold for a long time.
No.
He gets out quick. So there's a decent possibility that when we see, over the next 3 months, a 13F in the future, maybe not this one, but the next one, we may see that he
Mhm.
has decreased his stake a decent amount.
Yeah, quite possibly. So this is exactly what we were saying. He added to his Baba. He actually added significantly to his Baidu position. He did reduce his JD position, which is another, Chinese retailer. I own both Alibaba and JD. Don't own any Baidu. JD, from a valuation standpoint, was actually cheaper when you looked at it on a free cash flow, multiple basis. But so choose your own adventure in as far as that world. But I bought the King Kong in the room. What can I say?
I bought both.
And I don't know if you remember this, but we haven't exactly been shy about this. We've talked a lot about Alibaba stock, so it's kind of nice to have maybe a little bit of redemption. You know, um, you know, definitely for the community overall. We've seen our portfolios significantly buoyed by this now in this upward trajectory here, which is nice. I mean, I personally look at my retirement savings, a portion of which is on Alibaba shares, and I'm sitting at all-time highs, which is nice, sexy, I'm gonna pat myself on the back on that one.
Nice.
But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely helping my portfolio because I think it's like 20% of my holdings or 30% of my holdings or something like that.
wow, nice, nice. Yeah, I'm nowhere near close to that concentration. This is the story, all right? This is really what's been the trigger for this event, is China unleashes boldest stimulus yet in years to boost ailing economy. All right? Now that we've seen, part of the pundits talking about it say, now that we've seen the Federal Reserve in the U.S. finally cut, back on rates, that Chinese government was able to do that as well without having a a serious issue as far as the currency exchange with the U.S. dollar. That was part of the thought process behind the timing. I don't
Right.
know if you've heard that before.
Eh,
Um,
eh.
so a few points amongst this plan that are very interesting. All right. So they adopted a suite of measures to reduce borrowing costs. People's Bank of China cut interest rates on existing mortgages by 0.5%,
Nice.
and supported new lending by reducing the level of reserves banks must set aside, meaning that the availability of mortgages is increasing. Okay. So that people can, China is really much dependent upon real estate, even more so than the American economy. So
Yes.
this is really buoying the real estate market. All right. Additionally, is ease restrictions on borrowing to invest in stocks and shares of Chinese exchanges. All right. This is basically, they just turned on the Robin Hood function for the Chinese stock market. Just,
Well,
margin calls, baby.
there's also, China's been very, very critical of these big tech companies. They've already, we already saw, I think it was like 2 months ago, where they're like,
Yeah.
hey, they not passed. They
Hmm.
got a certification of some sort. So now it just looks like they're going the exact opposite direction. So now they're easing up, and now they're also helping the economy as a whole, which as the economy gets better, you know, people buy stuff on Bob and JD, i.e. more profit. So
Yeah. And I don't remember. I don't think it's in here, but there was also a data point on the down payment percentage required for second homes. They also reduced that. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but another thing that would help buoy the real estate market in China.
nice.
So there are multiple kind of little arms to this plan. They've come at it in many different directions, and it should be a really big boom for Chinese real estate, which is their kind of lifeblood of their economy. And then also this kind of easing of tensions on Chinese equities, which
Yeah.
is fantastic.
I mean, I'm definitely happy.
Mhm.
Go to the so basically this is Bob over the course of like the last 6, 7 months or something like that. No, maybe 8. You can see like the last 5 days have just been absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
However, go to the next one. Oh, this is JD also. JD actually was up a higher percentage. I just want to throw this in
Yeah.
there because Burry was in it. I also own it. I don't own near as much JD,
Okay.
but let's just put this into perspective here, right? So, I when you look very close up, it's like holy crap, this is a great. We're going sky high. We might even have a correction. This is too high. This is not too
Yeah.
high. We're not even close. In fact,
Wow.
we're not even out of, I don't know if I agree with this, but chart people would say this was an accumulation phase. Anytime you have straight, bumps and dips, I don't know if I agree
Uh-huh.
with that because there's a lot of macroeconomic things happening during that time. But
Yeah.
we're actually still in that range. We're actually at the top of it. So we're not
Okay.
even close, to be honest with you. Do the next one.
And is this blue line the 200?
Yeah. If you do the next
Oh
one, I'm
wow.
gonna. So the
Okay.
200 hitting right there. Hit the next slide.
Uh-huh.
There we go. Okay, so 200, and then you have the top of the accumulation range. Once again, I don't really agree with that, but it kind of works in the chart. They're hitting at the exact same point as of about 121.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's
I
really
would
like a make or break level right now, huh?
I would assume I get all the good news. I want to go higher. I don't think it's going to blow past 121. I think it may if it approaches it. I mean, I want to be wrong so bad here, to be very clear. But if it approaches it, it's very likely that we bounce down, maybe find 105, something like that. I don't think we're just going to keep shooting up at this rate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be pretty ridiculous to be honest. It definitely is like taking on a short term, almost parabolic shape, which is always makes me a little uneasy as far as the what's I want to say, the staying power of the rally.
Well, I mean, I can show you Nvidia's chart at like 8 times last year. It never stopped. So
Yep.
there is that.
There you go. That's the ending line of this video. Is Alibaba the next Nvidia?
Oh boy. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Catch you next one.